Welcome to another gorgeous day and another day of Dose of Did You Know? And with me today is my friend Amal. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Where are you actually now? Are you in California? Are you in Canada? I never know. Are you overseas? I have no idea.
I'm here. I'm here in Toronto, Canada right now. I've been here and I plan to stay here for coming future.
Okay, because this man travels all over. You'll kind of find out a little bit about who he is. Tell the world a smidge of who you are.
Yeah, sure. I would say I'm a guy who likes to experience as much as possible in this world and everything that it has to offer. I guess a little bit of background about myself is I was ever since day one, I was a hardcore athlete. I played all different types of sports, focused on fitness, nutrition, and decided to take soccer as far as possible. So I was able to land a scholarship in the U.S. Coming from Canada, it's a pretty big thing for us because our sports scene is not nowhere near the same as the U.S. So we was able to do that, and then afterwards was able to pursue a professional soccer career overseas, and that's I guess how we've been traveling different places and playing in different countries and just getting those life experiences and I guess some would even say that you're living the dream in that case.
Mhm.
So for me, that was huge. And I took that experience and tried to turn it around into my own personal life and see where I guess I asked myself once I started to slow down in my career, I said, where can I be the most value uh, in this world? Where can I provide that and what position and so on. So I decided to get involved with the finance business that we have. It's actually my family and I are running it. And we specialize with anything related to finance, mostly mortgages, but we do private investment, business lines, and even debt consolidation, all of these great things. And I just fell in love with it uh, and wanted to pursue it. And I found so much fulfillment and opportunity to offer value and using my knowledge and skills to the world. And it's just been a great ride ever since. It's been about, I mean, the business has been here for well over 20 years, and I've been in for about a couple of years now, and
Yeah.
um, and just going. And in fact, I just finished up a meeting with a client, so I know I was a little bit late jumping on
You
the
had
call.
me sweating a little bit. I was
I'm
like,
so sorry. Yeah, I was wondering, and I was like, oh my God, I have to really get on the call. So, but yeah. Overall, I know
yeah.
that's where it's at.
So Amal and I met years ago is when I was kind of really focused in the nutrition aspect of my career. And that is how we met. So I've been following his career. Like I remember when you were about to go overseas. Like I remember this whole journey of you. I feel like from afar, I watched you come into this amazing man. You were always driven, always a good heart. I connected with you from the beginning, but now here you are, plopped into this successful, like inspiring man that you've become. So it's kind of been like a fun little blessing for me to watch on the side. You had no idea I was stalking and keeping track of you, but I was.
Definitely appreciate that. Very, very humbling for me to hear that. No, but I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. So I want to talk about first, I want to give a shout out to David. He's watching in Maui. He's having a little getaway for a month. So I've been watching his getaway too, wishing like, why was I not on the plane with you, dude? Instead of, right? But
Yeah.
I want to talk about, I feel like your your dedication to your sport. I mean, that was it. Did it come from your family? Were they supportive? Like, where did that come from? Because yeah, Canada's not known for soccer.
Hmm.
Just throwing that out there. Like hockey would have been like, okay, yeah, but
Yeah.
where did that come from?
I on like for me, I guess it just stemmed from wanting to experience as much as possible. And I guess growing up here in Canada, playing soccer here in this country, um, and I think I can speak for like the general viewpoint of the Western world at least is this is about maybe 10 years ago is when I actually started looking at this. They promote more so the fact that, okay, work hard and use your sport to help you get an education and uh, play the sport while you're in school and then help it pay your way through school. And that was just like drilled into me uh, for, I mean, the whole time I was playing the sport here. And so the dream for me was to always uh, play soccer while in school and help it pay uh, my way and you know get everything for me in
Mhm.
that sense. And when it came to sorting out where to play and all that, the U.S. was the best option. I mean, I'd say personally, the U.S. College system is the best uh, system in the world when it comes to sports. You know, everything from NAIA and NCAA, it's huge. It's a huge industry there. So that was one of the things that was always just in the back of my mind. It was I was told, like this is if you're going to take this serious, then go there, and do this. But it also came from uh, the idea that I wanted to try something new, something different from my family, because my family we're very close knit, and there's actually like the whole side of my family in Toronto lives. There's like five or more families that all live within 20 minutes of each other. So no one really ever uh, took the leap and said, you know what, like I'm just gonna go to another country and and study there and learn the culture and integrate and see how it goes. And I guess having the ability and being blessed to be able to play soccer at that level, I said, you know what, let me be the first one. Let me be the one to take that jump and see what happens in our family dynamic, and maybe it'll open up some more doors and opportunities. And because
Yeah.
I have siblings, that are coming up as well, and maybe I might be able to create something down the pipeline for them. And it actually ended up working out that way afterwards. So
You
a lot of things
set
that
the
happened.
path. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a little scary, I have to say. You're kind of like, I'm gonna change the projection of my family. Let me see if I can, be that first person to leave the country, go to school, and use, the gifts that I have to get there. That takes a lot.
yeah. It was probably, it didn't actually sit in until maybe a week later, once I was in the U.S. and settled. I mean, initially when I said my goodbyes to the family, I wasn't even thinking about any of that. They were a little bit not upset. They were just sad and like, oh
Yeah.
my God, we're not going to see you as often. And for me, I'm like, I don't care. I just want to play soccer. And that's how
You're
it was for
young
me.
and dumb. Like, you're just like, I'm
Yeah,
going. Ha.
I'm like, let's just I just want to be here and get, just start. I just want to do my thing. But then after like a week, it really settled in, and I started realizing like, oh my God, like I actually miss home and miss my family. And I guess that little shock started to happen at the time. So but I kind of told myself, I'm like, okay, I can't just do all of this and not pursue it.
Yeah.
And worst case scenario, if something ever happened and I really, really did not, like I changed my mind or something like that, then I always have the home to go back to and my family to go back to. So it's really great knowing that they're supportive in that sense, and that they weren't going anywhere. They were going to be there for me. So that definitely made it easier to go along with all this.
You like thought about your plan B, right? You didn't act on your plan B kind of, but you were like, worst case scenario, I'll just go home to my family. And you didn't focus on it,
Hmm.
but was it like a little settling? Like, okay, I can do this because I got that to fall back on.
Yeah, yeah, it was definitely there, and I tried not to um, think about it as much because I really wanted to be like my plan A is like this is it, this is my 100%.
Yeah.
Um, but it was good. I mean, it's always when you come and you're brought up in such a group setting with families so close to each other, then it's always going to be there for like in my mind, like let's someone just needs to do this, take this step, and if it works, great, then we have something to build on. If it doesn't, then we'll come back to our group, rehuddle, regroup, and see what the next step is.
Yeah, yeah. That was one of the
Hmm.
things because I come from a big family where we'd have our big family dinners. And I remember seeing pictures of you and your whole family. I'm like, other people still do this kind of thing. It's not just me and my family. You still do that.
Yeah.
So then you get that you go to school, you do all this, and then you didn't stop there. You had this opportunity to head over. And the whole reason I want to like focus on this, because I really feel like your love and your passion and these milestones that were huge kind of set the mindset to bring you to where you are today. You just didn't wake up and you're like great at what you do. You've really been successful at everything. There were steps, there were building stones for this. So how do you end up overseas? How does that happen? How do you decide that that's where you're going to do? Like that seems like the next that's a big jump from college.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely it actually for me it wasn't on my radar. But I guess uh through connections and networking, the opportunity just came up, and I that at that time I had to have that conversation with myself, which was the same conversation I had when I first chose to come to the US. I'm like, okay, well, we've already came this far and we took this step, and it's proving well, for everyone, that's involved, and then like maybe I can do this extra step now. um, and that's kind of how it happened. So it started off initially with me going to Fiji because my parents were born there, and the
That's not a bad
soccer.
place to go. Let's just throw that out there. Like,
I
that
know,
is on
right?
my bucket list.
Yeah, definitely. It's I mean, like that alone was just like, okay, well, of course I'm gonna go. But it was like there was also more, the more appeal because it's my home country, and there was an opportunity to play at the higher level, and then almost the national level pretty much, and then go and experience that life. But for me as well, I was just realizing like all of these things that I was going through, how much of a blessing
Yeah.
it all has been, and like how, I don't want to say spoiled, but like how great things are over here. Um, and I knew about like Fiji is a great country, but there are also areas that aren't as developed,
Right.
and those were actually the areas that I would be in, if I chose to do this. So I took it as an opportunity to, yes, play soccer, travel and experience my home country, but also I wanted to really see, what life was like on, the other side. And I don't want to say other side, but like from back in the day, because my parents would always tell me
Yeah.
stories of like, we this is how things were here, and
Well,
I took it as a very
yeah.
humbling experience.
We're
Yeah,
blessed
and
over here. We don't realize it, but we
yeah,
are. We have so many things that we just take for granted. So, yeah, go
so
on. I
true,
want to hear
so
about
true. Yeah, yeah. So I realized that, and then, once I got there, it was a whole nother experience. I couldn't even fathom what it was going to be like until I was there, uh, and I really, really got to see, all those aspects of the way they lived, and then how different it is, from like a first world country. Everything like little things, even where you get to hand wash your laundry. Um, to get water, to get drinking water, you actually have to go to a well and fill up your bottle with the water.
it.
And then I mean, at that time it was like maybe, I don't know what it would be Fahrenheit, but it was in Celsius. It was like 40 degrees Celsius with humidity every single day, and there's no AC, and there's no, fan. Like it's just windows. And then it's just like that type of lifestyle really, really brought me back down to earth, because, uh, I would just like at the time I'm like, oh my God, like I did so much. But let me see what this other experience, um, can do. And
Yeah.
for me, ultimately, it just humbled me so much. And I could tell you this, like the day I got back, and to Canada, I actually kissed the floor. in the airport because of how grateful and blessed it was. And I think if anyone has an opportunity to do something like that, it doesn't have to be to your home country, but
Right.
just anywhere in the world that is not the same standards, or they're just still developing, and you go and you see that, and then you come back, you come in like a whole new person.
And this was
Um,
just 10 years ago, about, right? Was this about, how, no, this was like, how long
oh,
ago was this? 5 years?
it was about the no, it was actually pretty recent. It was 3 or 4 years for Fiji
God,
itself.
time
Yeah,
is like, I don't even know. It could have been 20
yeah.
years, you know? Like, I'm like, how long have I known you? When did this happen? So this is 3 years ago. So this, it wasn't actually 10 or 20 years. This is recent
No.
time that you were
Hmm.
over there and you were training. What was it like to train over there? Like, was it much harder to get the same, um, to be able to be at that same standard, to be at that same level that you were at?
Hmm. Yeah, it was. I found it a lot more difficult. Um, I guess there's several reasons. Some of it being the environment, entering a whole new country with a new climate,
Yeah.
the actual field itself. Like over here, we're used to playing on turf fields. Over there, it'll be lucky if it's a full grass field because it's not as maintained. So like a lot of times we're playing in the mud, and like the dirt. So there's that, and then also the different style of play. It's a little more, we call it island soccer, and island soccer is a lot more aggressive. So it's more fitness based, more strength based in that sense. So there's a lot of adjustments that had to be done. Was able to get through them as much as possible, and just again learn the experience, learn from that, and the whole get the whole experience and the whole package on how is everything done over here. And
Mhm.
also, I got to mention, and this is what really was the most difficult for me, was the food, the difference in food. And I guess, I mean, again, over here we have so many choices. Like I could go outside and I have 10 different places I can get food from, whereas here we were living on a compound that was gated, so you weren't supposed to go outside and get food from like the little corner store or the bakery. They provided and controlled all the food portions for you, and it was completely different from anything I was used to. So that adjustment there was, it was hard, but I
Especially
can't complain
when you have
because it
to use
helped.
your body. Like, they're asking you and requiring you to maximize your body potential, but they're like,
Mhm.
here, try all this new stuff and let's see how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. And they would monitor us. Like sometimes they'll do like a surprise check-in where they just pop up in your room and see like if you're having any snacks or anything. And almost I would say like almost every other morning you were required to do weigh-ins.
Wow.
So that, yeah, and you had to hit certain weights based on what the fitness coach was saying. He's like, okay, based on your height and your ability, you should be at this weight. And a couple of players weren't at that weight, and then food got stricter after that. So yeah, yeah,
It
it's pretty
stopped me
crazy.
from wanting to hide any snacks or anything because you're like, that it's not
Oh
worth it. It's not worth what's going to
no,
come after.
no, no, it wasn't.
So do you feel like, I feel like that would change my perspective of even my career, even how I see business, how I see people, my interaction? Was that a big
Mhm.
part of where to get you to where you are right now?
100%. The way I reflect on it now is especially mainly the mindset that was required. So like a couple of things that I know that will stay with me from like an experience like that would be having to adapt on the fly, having to prove yourself all over again in a new environment. Because a lot of times, if we did something somewhere and then we go somewhere else, we kind of feel like, oh well, I've already done this. But no, this was like starting from scratch. Like I have to integrate and fight for my spot, type of thing.
Mhm.
So you're driven to the edge of your competitiveness, and also realizing that like on top of those, that nothing is given to you in this world. You have to go out and like no one's going to care, and if you just start and sitting there and complain, you're giving yourself uh, the power to become a victim, and the victim mindset is something that uh, it just doesn't help in any situation. It just drains you. So that was where I learned to kind of get away from that and say, well, I could sit here and complain about it being too hot or not having enough food, or I can just shut up and work my butt off and show why I'm here in the first place. And that for me is even till today, right now, and I'm sure going forward, has stuck with me. And it gets tough sometimes, and I know life, has its ups and downs, and we have those days. We're only human at the end of the day. But I try to, like, and I had it a couple of times too, but I would stop myself and say, look, I can just sit here, sulk and complain, or I could go out there and, get what I'm worth and get this thing done. And it's just being more conscious about yourself, learning more about yourself and how you can get yourself to get things done.
Yeah, you really did take the experience and maximize it to its fullest, not just in the professional athletic world, but like to the bottom of your soul. Because you could have walked away and just been like, I have this badge of being a professional athlete and going over and doing that. And that would have been the end of it. But you let it develop you as it's supposed to be. I say we always given these gifts, and the gifts can be very challenging or they can be easy. I mean, you don't know how your gift's going to show up, but you are one of those people that have really applied your day-to-day stuff. So I want to, before we come to the end here, because the time is running out. I mean, I know you have a close family, so that makes sense why you're there. But I mean, you didn't just jump into your family business. I mean, like, what was your thought of like, I'm going to join them? Like, this is what I want to do and I want to grow this part of it. I mean, you could have ran the other way too. I mean, even though you're close.
Yeah, no, definitely. When the time came, I saw. Well, I guess I would say it's two things. But the first question I asked myself, and this kind of guided the whole direction of the decision, is in what position could I be where I can offer my fullest to the world, where I can offer the most value to the world. And from there I started to work a little backwards, and I learned about myself and the things that I've gone through these athletic experiences, learning how to be dynamic and taking control of situations um, and so on. uh, I knew I had to be in a position where I could work for myself and work on myself so that I can be better for everyone around me, but at the same time be flexible and be able to explore uh, every possible option on something, um, and not be tied down and not be restricted in any sense, so that I can help as much as possible. And that's what when I decided that, I also noticed that in the business there were a lot of areas that I just almost like a puzzle piece was able to fit in nicely and help grow the business. And that came in through recruiting some of our agents on our team, setting up training for the whole the group, and also taking ourselves online, uh, having our mini seminars, even down to like renovating the office units itself and decorating, because I like to put cool little like things
Yeah,
in now.
you showed up.
And
I showed up for you today. I was like, oh, he's like the man of my heart when it comes to style. Like, show up.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I'm loving it here. We, it was probably one of the best decisions I've made, and when it comes to working in the workforce, uh, we developed so many relationships. Got clients now. We have a big database that we get to service, and I mean, almost anybody that comes in, we have one or more ways to offer a solution for their problem, even if it's not directly with us.
Yeah.
So
Are
that
you
type of
just
thing
in
really made it
Canada?
happen.
Are you just in Canada, or do you go? Are you like in America and other places?
So right now we're here in Toronto, but the so that's our actual physical location is here. But in terms of the activity that we do,
Yeah.
it actually stems right now we're in Toronto. We're doing some work in Vancouver, Canada, and we're also doing some work over in Europe. And that one is actually really exciting because it tied into the relations that I held with the soccer world.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of financing in this whole industry. So there's a couple of projects that are going on there. In the US, we haven't hit anything in there yet. Actually, we have people in the US that help us over here, but we haven't proactively done anything ourselves going towards into the US yet. But I'm sure it'll be pretty soon.
Okay. I was waiting for the yet. Okay. So, and you gave it to me. So perfect. Perfect. So as we finish up, I mean, as you can see, this is why I want to join. You have such an inspiration to so many, whether you know it or not, at least in my world, watching you and seeing your drive in your heart and really applying everything that has been given your way. So I thank you, because we just need one person to do one person to do one person, and that ripple effect that shows us that, you know, we can, if we put the effort in and we just suck it up and, like you said, not complain, just kind of take responsibility and move forward, you know, God, major things can happen in this world. Major great things can happen. So thank you for doing your part in it. But today, Amal, in this moment, right now, as we speak, answer with the first thing that comes to your heart. What does love mean to you? And I think he froze on me.
Oh,
Okay, now you're back.
oh, sorry. Love for me is, if I had to put it to one word, I would say something that, oh, sorry, I'm just going to put this on the charger. Oh, my phone is dying a little bit. All right, there we go.
I need you to die before you
Okay.
answer this question. This is the big question of the hour.
I know, right? Love for me is any actions or thoughts that come in an unconditional form.
I love
And
that.
that's how I would think I would sum it up.
I love that.
And
Because
in that example,
I hear a lot of times action, because I believe love is an action, and then you always hear unconditional. But I love that combination of the two of them. Action and unconditional. That is very good. Thank you, Amal, so much for giving your heart, sharing who you are and your life story that got you to where you are today as this young, amazing man. Thank you so much for being on the show today. And
thank you so much.
You are so welcome. And to everybody else out there, remember, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. Until next time, we will see you. Take care.
All right. Cheers.